my friend Darren asked me how to load a bike in a truck, and I figured since it was relevant to him, it could be relevant to somebody else. So I'm going to do this a couple of different ways. Some the way I do it, some the way I don't do it, and hopefully that'll give you guys some idea of how this can happen. So for tying down, before you even start anything, you want to have a plan for how you're going to tie down the bike. So in my case, I've got wheel chocks, and then I've got a Canyon Dancer. If this were a naked bike, I would just use those soft loops, and then I've got a couple of pull straps to the bed. Now you are going to need a ramp or some semblance of, and in my case I have a very large wide ramp where I can walk both the bike and myself up the ramp. Most people don't end up getting one of these because they're kind of a pain in the ass when you're not using them. So I'm going to do it like pretend it's a single ramp. So I'm going to put this ramp up, and I'm going to put it off to the side to simulate like we only have one, so I can't use this side of the ramp, the far side, because it's not hanging on anything. Now, very important, tie down the ramp to the truck, because otherwise your bike can actually shoot the ramp out, and then you end up teetering on the tailgate or dropping stuff. Now, it goes without saying, or I hope it should go without saying, you don't ride the bike up, because at that point you have no chance of bailing if something goes wrong. Like if something goes wrong now, worst case, I can throw the bike away and jump away, and then at least I don't end up getting hurt. Alright, anyway, so for the first one, I'm going to do this the hardest way imaginable. I did nothing to decrease the bed height. I did nothing to make my step up easier. Literally going to suffer through it, but I am going to cheat, and I am going to have the bike power itself up so that I don't have to push so hard. So basically the goal is run the bike up the ramp, let the bike pull itself up. When you can and you feel stable, step up, and then let it finish the job. So let's try that. Alright, notice how that was a colossal pain in the ass? There are some things that I can do much, much better to make that easier. So the first thing is I can use something better than a bucket, because a bucket is super tilty, not big enough to put both feet on, kind of uncomfortable, colossal pain in the ass. Obviously this would be better with help. Oh look, there's Adam, who's no help whatsoever. He's gonna go do something.
Off work.
Yeah, right. You're off work. You're done. All right, so it'll be easier if you use something that's a little more stable than a bucket. It'll also be easier if you decrease the angle, like put the back wheels in a ditch or something like that. And I'll show that in a second. So for coming down this way, the trick is to keep the bike off, keep the bike in gear, and use the clutch as your brake. That way, if anything starts going wrong, let go of the clutch, the bike will stop. So let's try that and hope I don't end up under a bike. if you notice, as soon as I was about to die, I let go of the clutch and the bike stayed put. So really kind of a pain in the ass way of doing this. Don't do it this way. I'm going to show you a better way in a second. Alright, so here's what I did to make my life much easier. I put the back wheels of the truck, I put them in a little crest. So now my tailgate is much lower. And this can be either like the crest of a driveway, this can be a ditch, you can back up to a sidewalk, anything to make this height less. Because now I can actually step up into the truck. And this does not take much. I mean, obviously if you're like 17 feet tall like Adam, then you probably just, you know, park the truck uphill and just jump up into the bed. But for us normal height humans, we do need something to decrease the angle. And that also helps the bike not high center on the ramp. So let me go grab the bike. Alright, so notice how much easier that was?
You made that look extremely easy.
Well, it gets even easier than that if you use the wide ramp and everything else. So coming back down, same story, use the clutch as your brake. That way it's easy to, you know, if you don't have positive control of the bike, it stops. Because as soon as you let go, it's not going anywhere. So climb down. Once again, the less teetering you do up here, the easier life gets. Hold the clutch, let the bike roll itself off. Great, you now have a bike. So, want to see the actual way I do this? So, if you have a wide ramp, or you have two ramps, this is the easy way to do this. Walk up with the bike slowly. Don't rush it, don't do anything. Just put the bike on one side of the ramp and yourself on the other. How much easier was that? A lot easier, right? So some of the keys to this is decreasing the bed angle, using a ramp, and having a good way to walk up that isn't a bucket and isn't mountain climbing into the truck. Specific bike, I have a brake lever guard. If I didn't have a brake lever guard, I would use my Canyon damper. This is really the easiest way to tie down a bike. Not a paid endorsement. I pay out the ass for these things, and I keep losing them and gifting them. So if I were to take that off, I could put this cup on the right grip and then just strap to these guys. Now, because this bike, you know, utmost care and planning goes into the making of these videos. Because this bike doesn't has that lever, I am going to actually do the straps, which is not optimal, but that's about the only way that, unless you do something really clever that I don't understand, that's about the only way that you can do a fared bike with these straps. So I'm going to put the straps on. This is not great. I'm going to put the straps on. I'm going to put a full strap on it. I don't like using ratchet straps because they seem to just kind of crush the suspension, and then they like to get jammed. But anyway, just full strap, pull it down, and then the second one on the other side. Now what you're after is you're after straps that pull the bike forward and down. That will keep it into the wheel chock. The wheel chock's job is to prevent the bars from turning, because if the bars turn, the bike moves forward, and then you can have something tip over. So all I end up doing is leaning the bike, pulling on the strap, and then leaning the bike the other way and pulling on the strap. And this is going to be fairly secure. Now, if you have a 6-foot bed, here, we'll get out. If you have a 6-foot bed, what you're going to find is that the back wheel is actually in the way of the tailgate. Now, to make that easier, I do have a bed extender, so I can leave the tailgate and put the bed extender around. But if you just grab the back wheel, and remember the front's tied down, the front really can't go anywhere. If you just grab the back wheel and walk it over a little bit, that little bit of a diagonal lets you shut the gate. At that point, find a place to stick the ramp. Make sure the straps are tight. Consider investing in a Canyon Dancer that will actually work for the bike you're doing. Here's another version that does work for this. I don't really like using it because it's like extra long, so it doesn't play nice with my straps. But this has soft loops, so you can snake it around the lever guard. Like, you could basically just sneak it around the lever guard, put it around. Well, it will make the turn eventually. With some wiggling. Put it around both bars, pull the straps, and then tie it down. This is better. It's definitely better than the soft loops I just did. It's not quite as good as taking the lever guard off and using the Canyon Dancer with the cups. It's also not as good as a Pitbull TRS, but it's infinitely cheaper. Now, something else to note. If you don't have wheel chocks, not the end of the world. All you have to do is make sure you put your front wheel up into the wall. If the front wheel is up into the wall and the bars are evenly strapped, then you're probably pretty good. I would still grab some 2x4s. I know they're $1 million right now, but I would grab some 2x4s and build just something to keep the tire from turning. So hopefully that helped somebody. Hopefully you guys don't have mishaps, but just remember, ratchet down the rear, decrease the angle, find yourself a good way to walk up, and you should be fine.